Good afternoon, everyone. So happy to see all of you. About 2 minutes ago, this room was completely empty. So thank you for showing up. My name is Anjali Young. I am the co-founder and CCO for Abridged, Inc. We're the makers of Collab.Land. We are a verification bot on, right now, Telegram and Discord. Have any of you used Collab.Land before? Yeah, a couple of you. Awesome. That's good to know. Oh, I see some friends coming in, so amazing. Today I'm going to talk about where we started with Collab.Land, how we started, where we are now and where we're going. And it fits nicely with community to identity, because that's going to be like the final resting place of where we are, at least for now. So Collab.Land started, well, Abridged started in 2018. We started with an Abridged SDK. So the main purpose of when we decided to start Abridged was getting people to come, user onboarding, having people join us in this magical space of crypto. We had felt like this is a real unlock for people, but they need to get here in order to experience it. So the original idea was an SDK, which was a wallet that had social recovery. So you could identify 2 or 3 of your friends, and they would also share your private, not share, but they would have access to your private key. So that way, if you lost your private key, you weren't just in a mess. You could actually get it from maybe trusted individuals, maybe your parents, maybe your best friend, whoever, business partner. So we started there, and it was to bring the users. How can we bring people to come and start using crypto? Sorry about that. And that didn't work. So people weren't coming. We couldn't get users. That was about 2 years of trying to get people to start using this wallet, start using social recovery. But the concept of even coming in, using it, why would they? There just wasn't anything enticing enough other than maybe the speculators to come in and start using it. And so we pivoted in January of 2020 to no-code tooling. So if you can't get people to join, maybe you can get or users to join, maybe you can get developers to join. So we started no-code tooling in January of 2020 to build a platform so that way developers could come, didn't have to really know how to do much, but they could start building apps. And maybe if we build the apps, the users will come. Well, what happened then was COVID. So in spring of 2020, we had COVID. And so we thought, okay, what can we do here to be helpful to the greater community of people that are suffering right now? So we started the Collab19 DAO. The Collab19 DAO was a way to collect funds and to grant funds to people who were suffering or were in need or had some negative impact either financially or medically from the effects of COVID. And at this time, if you remember spring of 2020, this is when lockdown had begun. This is when people were still dying from COVID. And it felt like maybe crypto could be a really great way to do something for people where they could see how lots of different people from all over the world can get together and do something good. So we started the Collab19 DAO, and the first issue that we had at that point is that new people were coming in, and we didn't know them. Prior to spring of 2020, most people who were in DAOs, you knew who they were. You knew them from personal relationships, maybe you had met them at conferences, maybe you had online relationships with them. And so there wasn't really a need to identify people by their wallet address because you knew whose wallet addresses belonged to who. Like I knew that Robert had a certain wallet, and so he and I could be in a group together and I could identify him. But this was the first case of I didn't know who these people were and what are we going to do now? And people were advocating for grants to be given to different people that they knew. And so we needed to be able to identify people. And so Collab.Land was the first version of that. Collab.Land was a way where you joined a community, and we started off as a Telegram bot, where we verified that you owned a certain wallet. We would check your wallet to make sure you had shares of our DAO, which was the Moloch DAO at that point. And if you had those shares, you gained access into the community. And if you sold those shares, then you were removed from the community. So that was kind of the first if you think of the word token gating now, and I don't know how many of you are involved with that, but it seems ubiquitous now. Everyone's using it. But at that time, it very much felt like a fresh idea. And we solved our problem of wanting to know who people were. So the first use case or the first adoption of Collabland, our token verification tool, were DAOs. And that was because at this time, spring of 2020, there was a lot of cross-pollination across DAOs. People that were interested in DAOs were kind of in the same DAOs. And so people who were in our DAOs took our idea of the Collabland token gating, and they used the Collabland bot in their DAOs. Shortly after DAOs, investment groups started using Collabland. As you know, from like 2016, 2017, that was the ICO boom. There were still holders of these tokens, even in 2020. And now you could, project owners, communities could say, okay, if you own a certain number of these tokens, you can join our investment group. And you can get it by having like maybe 1,000, maybe 100,000, the communities that they would decide themselves on who would have access. And in these investment groups, there would be deal share, deal flow, sharing new projects that were coming out. And they were able to build an identity through that. And so it's interesting because the communities themselves, with the deal flow going on in the investment groups, the tokens themselves, the prices would go up because now you had to have a certain number of tokens, or at this point, fungible tokens with the investment groups to get in to the communities. And so the value was brought to these investment tokens then. After that, we had social tokens. I don't know if any of you remember Alex Masmej. He runs Try Showtime. He started a social token around his own life, where it was like buy an Alex token. So now he was able to get all the people who owned his Alex token into a community together, where they would decide like what he would do next. After that, it was FWB. That was another social token that started using Collabland. So the idea of token gating based on an asset that you could see online that could be verified by the blockchain became more and more compelling. What we didn't see or know at that point was NFTs. So NFTs, very exciting. That's probably where I started like perking up, and I was firing on all cylinders with NFTs. It was so exciting. Initially, I was like, oh, these are also tokens. Now people are selling their 10,000 tokens to however many people. They should get into a Collabland community. They should come in, use our bot, and have all the people who bought this NFT in a group together. So I went on the hunt. I run the Twitter account, and so I was DMing over Twitter. If you can even imagine, this is long before scammers knew who we were. And I was DMing every single new NFT project I could find and say, hey, why don't you try Collabland? It's this really cool tool where you can get everyone who bought your NFT into at this point we had moved to Discord, into a Discord together. And you can all talk to each other and build a little bit of a community together. Like, is that something you'd want to do? And so at the beginning, it was definitely like a digital pounding of the pavement. I was knocking on all the doors. And the exciting thing was, and I was actually doing these like Collabland community spotlights every single Friday. And that's because I was lucky to even get one community every week to use Collabland. So those were the very early days. However, about like 4 to 6 weeks after, and I don't really remember exactly, but it was within a month or two, every single community that I reached out to said, oh, we're already using Collabland. And that was like our first real win after all of that like slogging of just begging people to use it. The interesting thing about NFT communities is, like I mentioned, that this was a time during COVID. And so our IRL life was shrinking, and our digital life was growing. And NFTs gave people an identity. So, you know, we talk about PFPs and whether or not you like PFPs, but PFPs were a way for people to identify themselves digitally online. And it was also attached to a financial asset. And so what we saw with NFTs is the concept of this community idea just was supercharged at this point, because now you bought an NFT because you maybe liked the art, you joined the Collabland community, and then you got to know the people, and you enjoyed that community so much that you were willing to to make it your profile picture and your online identity. All right, so let me quickly go through identity. So now what are we doing with communities? So now we're at 40,000 communities. We have 4 million connected wallets. What can we do now? How are we going to unlock what happens now? And we're moving into identity. So we're taking a two-prong approach with identity. One is through issuing verifiable credentials. So Collabland, we've been there from the day one of crypto communities. And so we will be able to attest to what you've done in those communities. Maybe you owned a World of Women, but you only owned it for 6 months and now you don't have it anymore. It's okay. Collabland can issue you a verifiable credential for what you've done, where you've been. It's almost like a Web3 resume that you can take with you. Now with verifiable credentials, they're offline, they're off-chain. You have the opportunity to make them on-chain. You can mint them as NFTs. So you can think of them as off-chain NFTs. So like if you want to start your own NFT project, you may want all of it to be on-chain. And so that way anybody would be able to look at it. However, maybe you want to apply for a DAO. Maybe you want to apply to be an admin in a different community. Maybe you don't want all of that to be on-chain so everybody could look at it. So with an off-chain NFT, which is how I'm going to call it, off-chain NFT, you'll be able to share that with who you want. And the second way we're going to be doing this is opening up our platform. We'll be opening up our API. So in two ways. One is we're going to have a marketplace. And so for all of our 40,000 admins, right now there's a Collab.Land dashboard. We will have a marketplace. So if you have an app that you want to open up and share with our admins, and it's something that they find valuable, then you'll be able to present it to them. So that's going to be through our marketplace. Also, we'll be opening up our API, so that way if you have a platform, if you have a website, if you have anything that you have that you want to start incorporating token gating into that platform, then you'll be able to use Collab.Land. You know, Collab.Land, over the last 2 years, it's been hard, but the benefits of it is we've fortified ourselves and we've grown stronger over the last 2 years. We're up to 15 blockchains that we support. We have over 20 wallets that we support. We started with just balance checking of a wallet address or a public wallet address, and now we do metadata gating, so you can even have sub-communities. This has happened together in collaboration with our communities. I also run the support team. I've been having like my ear to the ground with what communities need. And so everyone should benefit from that. So I really hope all of you come and want to build on top of us. Like, let us be the water pipes and you build your water park, whatever excites you, whatever interests you. You can use our plumbing and we can do something special together. So thank you so much. For API and DAO updates, we're also going to be becoming a DAO. It's collab_land_. I'm Dama de Roca, which is lady from Boulder in Spanish. But don't send me any support questions. So I got to put that up right there. So thank you so much, everyone.